Hi, I'm Florian and you're on the Productivity Exchange. Today we're looking at the if function in Excel. It's incredibly versatile and well worth getting to know. When you start typing the if function, you'll see this helper text appear. First, it will ask for a logical test. That means something like A5 is greater than 7, or A6 equals hello, note the quote marks, or even a function like is number A7. And these evaluate to either true or false, as you can see here. So we've just got the logical tests on their own, just in these columns, as you can see here. Next, you'll see value if true. So if the logical test evaluates to true, then this is the result that you get. That can be either text or a number or the result of a formula. You can put what you need here. And then similarly, you'll see value if false, and that has the same conditions as the true. So if the expression evaluates to false, you can put numbers, text, or formula output in here as well. So looking at it at a high level, the if function can be visually represented like this, where you've got the three inputs of a logical test, a value if true, and a value if false. And what it gives you is a single output that is either value if true or value if false. Now let's expand out our example. You don't need to type all of this every time you do an if statement. You just need to type this here. What I've done here though is pulled it apart so that we can see all of the separate parts and so that we know what to expect. So first here I've got the value, in this case 5, the logical test for the if function, so in this case A5 is greater than 7, the logical test evaluated here so that we can see whether or not it's currently true or false. The value if true, so I just wanted to return whatever value is in here if A5 is greater than 7. And if A5 is less than 7, what I wanted to do is return the text value is less than or equal to 7. So the way I would write this is if A5 is greater than 7, comma, then the value if true, so that's A5, comma, and then the value if false. So I just wanted to return a string of text which says value is less than or equal to 7. And remember that whenever you're putting text in here, you want it to have that double quote mark like it has here. So evaluating that, what I can see here equals if A5 is greater than 7, then I wanted to return A5, else I wanted to return value is less than or equal to 7, like this. So at the moment it's evaluating to value is less than or equal to 7. If I change this to an 8, I can see that it returns 8 here. If I change that to 7, 7 is less than or equal to 7, so there we go. And if I change that to 10 again, I can see that it returns 10. Looking at the next example, the value is hello, the text string hello. I can see the logical test is A6 is equal to hello. Remember the double quotes for text, and that evaluates to true currently. Then the value of true, I just wanted to return the text string value is hello. If it's false, I wanted to say value is not hello. And then I can just type that as an if statement like this. So if A6 is equal to hello, then I wanted to return value is hello. Otherwise, I wanted to return value is not hello. And looking at the example here, that's exactly what I've got. So currently it is hello. If I type umbrella in here, I can see that the value is not hello, and it changes there. In the final example, the value is 4. The logical test is an Excel function called isNumber. So isNumber A7. So that checks whether or not A7 is actually a number or not. In this case, it is true. And then I wanted to just return the string value is number if it's true. If it's false, I wanted to return value is not a number. And like with the others, I can just type that out as if is number A7 as the logical test, and then the value of true, value of false, and I get the value is a number. If I type in here test, it will return the value is not a number. Now let's look at some real-world examples using our employee dataset. I've linked to this dataset down below, but I've also used it on previous videos, so if you've got it downloaded from that, just start a new sheet and follow along on there. So that I don't change this data, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy all of this and paste it onto a new tab, which I've already done here. So the first example I want to check is whether an employee is earning over $50,000 or not. And I wanted to return true if they are earning more than that, and I wanted to return false if they are not. Now there's two ways that we can do this. The first would be just with a logical test, and then the second would be with an if statement. I will do the logical test first. So what you would need to do is type equals that, so it's the salary, is greater than 50,000. There we go. And in this case, that's false. And if I drag that down using the little drag handle, I can see that in this case it's true and also true. So the other approach to doing that would be to type equals if that is greater than 50,000, then I want it to return true. And by capitalizing it, you return the actual true value. Otherwise, it will return false, like this. Now, in simple cases like this, where you just need a true or false, you don't actually need to write the if statement out like this. You can just leave it as the logical condition, like this, and drop that down. And that just makes the Excel spreadsheet a lot easier to understand. Now, in example 2, I just want to find all the employees that are 50 or older. And I wanted to return a 1 if that is true and a 0 if that is false. And I'll explain why in a moment. So first off, we type if, and then we want the logical test. So age is greater than or equal to 50. Next, we want the value of true, and we can see that Excel highlights that quite nicely for us here in the helper text. So the value of true, I want that to be 1, and then the value of false, I want that to be 0. There we go. So I've got an age of 71, that's definitely over 50, so that is true. And if I drop that down, I can see all of the 1s and 0s here. Now, using 1s and 0s can be quite useful because if I highlight the range, I get a quick count of how many there are. So there are 500 employees on my list, but I can also get the sum. So that's 173. So I know that there are 173 people over the age of 50 in my spreadsheet here. The other thing that it's quite useful for is if, for example, people over the age of 50 got a particular benefit payment from the government, I could use this to work out how much they get. So assuming the payment is based on the last financial year's salary, I could just write a quick formula that does that, where I take their last year's salary, I multiply it by the value of age over 50 or not, and then I can multiply that by, say, it's 2%, 0.02, and I can get the size of the payment that I need. However, if there are people under 50, I can get the 0 value for those. So using 1s and 0s is incredibly useful in cases like this. Now for the next example, I want to find all of the managers. So that would be from the pay grade column over here. And I want to give them a 5% bonus. And then I also want to work out what that bonus will be. So what I can do is I can type if, and then I can say the pay grade is equal to, and then I can put my text in the quote marks like this. And it helps if I type manager correctly. There we go. So if A2 is equal to manager, then the value if true, what I want to do is I want to multiply the pay last financial year by 0.05, and that will just be the value of the bonus that will be paid. Otherwise, what I wanted to return is a string that says no bonus payable, like so. So you can see that for the value of true, we've put in a little formula here. Now the formula can be as big or as small as you want, but you'll want to keep it as small as possible in general. Otherwise, it can become a little bit complicated to try and find where errors are creeping in if you're finding that there are problems. So if I hit enter on that, I can see that the first person is a frontline worker, so there is no bonus payable for them. However, the next person is a manager, and they will be getting a bonus of $4,333.55. Double-clicking on the little drag handle that I could also use to drag down like this, and I can see who gets a bonus and how much their bonus is. Now for our last example, let's say we have a requirement that all employees under the age of 21 who earn over the tax-free threshold of $18,000 need to be audited. So what we can do is I can come in here and I can type if, and then I'll start with age is less than or equal to 21. But then I kind of run into a problem, because I can only put one condition in here. So what I'll need to do is I'll need to use an AND function, and you can read more about those in the description. I've got a link. and then I will put the conditions in that I want met. So that means both of these conditions need to be true in order for the logical test to be true. So the age we've got here is under 21, but then I also want the salary to be over $18,000. There we go. So that is our logical condition. Both of these must be true for the logical condition to be true. And then the value if true, I'll just say to be audited. And if the conditions aren't met, then I can just say not applicable. So what I can see here is that it is not applicable for this frontline worker. However, if I drop this down, I can see that Adrian Dowling needs to be audited, as well as Amina McCartney. And if I go through the list, I can see that all of the ones that need to be audited do appear like this. Now, I've evaluated all of these logical tests inside the formula, but you can just refer to a cell here as well. So if the cell has a value of true or false, then you can just refer to that. Now let's say for our next example that everybody that earns up to $50,000 can get low income support of 2%. So to work that out, what I can do is I can come in here and type if. But in this case, I don't need to type a logical test out like I did for these previously because I've already got that information. So I can see false is here and true is there. So I already know if somebody is under 50K or over 50K. So I can just click on that. That can be my logical test. And then if that value is true, I know that they're earning over 50,000, so they're not entitled to a payment. But if the value is false, then they are entitled to a payment. And let's say that payment is 2%. So what I can do is I can just multiply their pay by 0.02, and I get the payments for those individuals. And let's just change that to dollar values, just so that's clear. There we go. Now, the last thing I want to point out is that when we've got our helper open like this, you can see these square brackets around the value of true and the value of false. Now, that means that those values are optional to put in. So what I could have done here, instead of putting in the zero condition for true, I could have just skipped that and just put comma, nothing, comma, and then put the other value. So to explain that, I can just type that out again. If that value is true, then I want nothing. And you can see that if I just have a blank, it sort of skips over to the false. And then I can just put the calculation in here. So 0.02 times whatever the salary was. There we go. And I should get the same values out of that as with the other way. Now, I like to make the true condition quite explicit. Otherwise, it can be a little bit difficult to read. You don't have to, but I think it's a good idea to put that in very explicitly so that people can read that and make sense of it. So I will just delete that out. But it is worth noting that for other equations where you do see that square bracket around a condition, that condition is optional and you can just skip over it by leaving a blank space and a comma. All right, and that's it for this video today. I've left some next steps in the description below, so once you feel like you've got the hang of if statements, be sure to check those out because they'll help you level up your game. If you found this video useful, let me know by giving the video a like or leaving a comment. And if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe. Also be sure to share this video with somebody else who might find it useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.